Hi spooky friends, welcome to Kelly Does Stuff. As you may know, I have been setting up my Halloween Village display of Lemax and Department 56 pieces. I have over 100 pieces that I've been collecting for the last 18 years. And currently I am sitting in front of my Haunted Hills and Bayou section of my display. And I make the majority of my platforms for my Halloween Village. And so what I thought I would do in this video is show you how I created a styrofoam platform piece for one of my Lemax Spooky Town creepy doll shop pieces. That's a mouthful. So that piece is back here and it tied in with the rest of the Haunted Hills section. So I'm gonna show you, I made this piece last year around August, and I'm gonna show you how I did that. So let's go.
So the first thing to do is build the platform, and I grab a whole bunch of my favorite XPS styrofoam that I get at Home Depot. And if you know me, you know that I don't really like to measure. But for something like this, it does require a little bit of planning. Okay, fine. It requires a lot of planning and definitely some measurements. The star of this piece is this doll that I got at the dollar store, specifically the head. And spoiler alert, once you pull the head off a doll and start carving it up, this will be your legacy. Use a very sharp blade for this. It does work pretty easily, but it tends to move around, so be careful if you decide that you also want to create a creepy doll display. I used sandpaper to rough up the surface of the doll so that it would take the paint a little bit better. I'd never painted anything like this before and I wasn't really sure how well it would work, and I figured that this would give me the best shot at success. After adding some more texturizing details, like cutting it with a blade, I painted it a dark gray base color. And then from there, I just experimented with different colors and different painting styles, like dry brushing or doing a wash to get the look that I wanted. This doll face was going to be in the side of that mountain, and I wanted it to look like it was aged and old, like it had been there for a very long time. There was no real formula to this. I just kept painting until I got the look that I liked. This here is a little bit more of a wash. So I'm diluting that green in a little bit of water. And that was just to give it a little bit of an algae look. And then with some brown, I did a little bit more of a true wash, adding more water to the brown and then letting that really seep into all of the cracks that I had made when I textured the doll face. Once that was completely dry, I went in with my lightest color and did the dry brushing to add some highlights and contours. And to truly complete the creepy look, I painted the eyes black. Then it was time to decide where the doll was going to go, and I traced her outline into the side of the mountain. And then I used the blade to cut out a little recess for the face to sit into the styrofoam. And I definitely don't recommend using a blade like this where you're flicking off pieces of styrofoam with the tip of the blade, because the blades do break and then they go flying and there's no telling where they're going to go. There's gotta be a better way. Next, it was time to dig into my bin of styrofoam scraps to grab some pieces that I was going to turn into rocks to add to my styrofoam to create my rocky mountain. I use a blade to shape my styrofoam, and then I attach them with a hot glue gun on the low setting. If your hot glue is too hot, it will definitely melt your styrofoam and make it hard to attach. Then I cut up a whole bunch of strips of plaster that I was going to use to cover my piece. And last year was the first year that I got into plaster, and I really loved doing it. I think I just started creating pieces so that I could plaster them. So for this plastering, we're going to dip our sheets of plaster into the water and then smooth it out over our piece. And there will be lots of little particles left behind of the plaster in your bowl, and you can scoop that up and use it to cover any little spots that need additional smoothing. Plaster takes a couple days to dry, and I'm incredibly impatient, but thankfully my dog Angel has lots of suggestions for what to do while we wait. And she also had a special reminder for all our spooky friends. When it was finally time to paint, I painted both the plaster and the styrofoam a dark brown color using acrylic paint. Once that was completely dry, I used a dry brushing technique to add lighter shades of brown in order to give the rocks more dimension. Now, when I went back and looked at the footage of our creepy doll platform, it was absolutely terrible. So this is footage actually from the mine piece that I created. I have a video on that, but the same technique applied to all of the rocks that I painted for the Haunted Hills section of my display. Once all the paint was dry, it was time to complete the spooky look by adding some moss. It was finally time to send our girl home to live out her spooky existence amongst the rocks. And there she is, surrounded by the Haunted Hills. Now she's creepy in an adorable sort of way, but to truly make her terrifying, we needed to light her up. I placed this round light beneath her so she would be illuminated from the bottom, and I love these types of lights because they're operated by a remote control, because this is so far back in my display that I would not be able to reach a battery light pack. Thank you all so much for watching. I love sharing these projects with you. I hope it gave you some good ideas for things that you could do with styrofoam or plaster, or ways that you can create some fun displays to elevate your Halloween village. Please consider subscribing and sharing this video with 5 or 10 spooky friends. I look forward to seeing you next time, and happy creating!